Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a dull brown penny, and thinking nothing of it. Just another Lincoln cent. But what if I told you that one ordinary-looking 1994 penny, without a mint mark, could be worth up to $1.6 million? Collectors were stunned when news of this coin first spread. Dealers were whispering, experts were double-checking records, and ordinary people began tearing through jars of change. Because this isn't just any penny. This is a once-in-a-lifetime mistake, a hidden treasure that slipped into circulation against all odds. The year was 1994. Billions of Lincoln pennies were struck at mints across America. Denver coins got their D. San Francisco proofs bore their proud S. Philadelphia pennies were supposed to have no mint mark at all, but only in earlier decades. By the 1990s, mistakes weren't supposed to happen. Every process was locked down. Every die was carefully monitored. Or so they thought. Somehow, a tiny handful of 1994 pennies left the mint missing their mark, struck with unusual precision, and carrying microscopic traits that only the most eagle-eyed collectors would ever notice. At first, nobody believed they existed. For years, they slipped through people's hands unnoticed, tossed into cash registers, piggy banks, maybe even soda machines. Until one man, an unsuspecting collector, pulled one from pocket change, looked twice, and realized what he held could change his life forever. Auction houses were flooded with calls. Is it real? Could this be the one? Collectors lined up to authenticate their 1994 pennies. And when the first confirmed specimen crossed the block, the room fell silent. The hammer dropped at a figure no one expected. That little copper-colored coin, worth just a cent in the eyes of most, was suddenly worth over $1 million. Because the details that make this coin so valuable are hiding in plain sight. And most people miss them. That's why so many ordinary 1994 pennies, worth just face value, end up tossed aside, ignored, or even spent at the grocery store. And yet, a chosen few, with their missing mint marks and flawless condition, are worth a life-changing fortune. Collectors were shocked. Dealers scrambled to verify every 1994 penny that came their way. Word spread through coin clubs, online forums, even newspaper headlines. One man's pocket change had turned into $1 million miracle, and suddenly, everyone wanted to know, could lightning strike twice? It's not enough to just grab any 1994 penny. The difference between 1 cent and $1 million comes down to tiny, almost invisible details. Look closely. Flip the coin under a magnifier. If there's no mint mark beneath Lincoln's year, you're holding something rare. But condition matters, too. The higher the grade, the higher the price, especially if that coin shines as if it just left the mint yesterday. And don't forget, counterfeits are everywhere. Many have tried to erase mint marks from ordinary coins to cash in on the frenzy. Experts warn, if you find one, authenticate it before celebrating. As word spread, collectors began hoarding change, searching, hoping, dreaming. Coin shops saw lines out the door. Stories surfaced of families digging through old coffee cans, only to stumble upon coins that could rewrite their futures. The 1994 no-mint mark penny became a legend, a modern treasure hunt where anyone, anywhere, could strike gold. Right now, that penny might be sitting in a forgotten jar on your dresser. It could be hiding in a pile of coins in your car's cup holder. It could even be sitting in your hand at this very moment, waiting for you to notice. Collectors call it one of the most shocking discoveries of the modern era. Dealers are still hunting for new examples because only a few are known, and every new find can send shockwaves through the market. One penny, one mistake, one miracle, worth up to $1.6 million. So here's what you need to remember. If you want to find the 1994 no mint mark Lincoln cent, check the date. Look beneath it. If there's no mint mark and the coin is sharp, bright, and crisp, you may have found it. Protect it. Authenticate it. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. And here's the shocking part. It looks just like any other penny you've seen 1,000 times before. That a simple 1991 Lincoln cent ordinary. Common. Forgettable. Except for one hidden detail so rare, so mysterious, it turned this everyday coin into a life-changing fortune. Collectors were stunned when the first one surfaced. Dealers couldn't believe it. How could a penny, a coin worth just 1 cent, command the kind of price tag that rivals luxury mansions, sports cars, even entire retirement savings accounts. The answer lies in a mistake so small, so easy to miss, that even seasoned coin hunters overlooked it for years and omit. Mark. That's it. Just a missing letter. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. You see, in 1991, pennies were supposed to carry tiny marks beneath the date, showing where they were struck. Denver, Philadelphia, San Francisco. Every coin told a story, but a handful of 1991 Lincoln cents slipped through the presses completely blank, in omit mark at all. And that error, that ghost-like absence, is what makes it extraordinary. At first, no one believed the stories. Collectors whispered in forums. Dealers shook their heads that it had to be a hoax. Just a rumor. Until one surfaced at auction. The bidding started modestly, as always, a few $100s, then 1,000. But as the crowd realized what was on the block, the energy shifted. Hands shot up, bidders leaned forward, the room buzzed with electricity, and the price skyrocketed. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. Then, silence. A final bid landed like a thunderclap. $1.5 million. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. And here's where it gets even crazier. These coins are still out there, not locked away in museums, not all hidden in private collections. Some are still jingling in jars, forgotten in desk drawers, waiting in dusty rolls of pennies at your local bank. But most people miss them because they don't know what to look for. They don't know the secret. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. So here's what separates a fortune from a penny. First, check the date. 1991. Second, look closely beneath the year. There should be a tiny D for Denver, or a faint S for San Francisco, or no mark at all if it came from Philadelphia. But the rare treasure, the one worth up to $1.5 million, it has nothing. Just the date, 1991, standing alone. But be careful. Most ordinary 1991 pennies also show no mint mark. Those are from Philadelphia, and they're worth only face valued. That's where the danger lies. That's why thousands of collectors have been fooled. Oh, what makes the $1 million coin different? It isn't just the missing mark. It's the strange, flawless strike. The way the coin was minted, its razor-sharp details, its lustrous finish, its near-perfect condition. That's what separates a fortune from a fake-out. Collectors have described finding one as a lightning strike in your own backyard. Dealers call it the holy grail hiding in plain sight. And for everyday people, it's a dream. The idea that something as small and ordinary as a penny could rewrite their life story overnight. Imagine at one moment you're rolling coins to take to the bank. The next, you're holding a ticket to financial freedom in the palm of your hand. A single cent, a single mistake, a single miracle. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. It's one of the most mysterious coins in American history. The 1989 writ no mint mark Lincoln cent. A coin so ordinary, so invisible, that millions of people have touched it, handed it over, even tossed it into piggy banks without a second thought. But the truth is, a single mistake at the U.S. Mint turned an everyday penny into a once-in-a-generation treasure. Most collectors had no idea it even existed. Dealers whispered about it at conventions. Coin forums lit up with speculation. And when one finally surfaced, it shattered every expectation. Because this wasn't just a penny. This was $1 million miracle hiding in plain sight. But here's the twist. On the surface, the 1989 Lincoln cent looks like every other penny in your change jar. Same copper-plated finish. Same familiar face of Lincoln. Same simple reverse. Nothing unusual at first glance. And that's what makes it so dangerous to overlook. Because hidden in its DNA is a tiny detail that transforms it into one of the most valuable modern coins ever struck. The story begins with a minting error so rare, so subtle, it slipped past every inspector. Normally, pennies from 1989 carry a small mint mark, a D for Denver, or a P for Philadelphia. But this coin? It was struck with no mint mark at all. A total fluke. A mistake so unlikely that only a handful are believed to exist. And when the first collector stumbled upon it, he almost didn't believe his own eyes. He showed it to a dealer who thought it was a joke. But when it went to auction, jaws hit the floor. Bidding wars erupted. Collectors were stunned. And the final hammer price? Over $1 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world even more. Stories started circulating of people finding 1989 no-mint mark cents in their pocket change. One man claimed he discovered his in a forgotten jar on his dresser. Another said he nearly spent his at a gas station before deciding to check it online. These weren't seasoned experts. These were ordinary people stumbling into life-changing fortune. And here's the kicker. Most people who hold this coin don't even know it. They spend it, roll it up, toss it into jars, and never give it a second glance. Because the difference is so slight, so easy to miss, that only the most careful eyes ever catch it. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The 1989 writ no mint mark cent has no small letter beneath Lincoln's date. Where most pennies have a D or a P, this one is hauntingly blank. That's it. That's the secret. But because so few slipped through, its rarity is off the charts. Collectors call it a ghost coin. Dealers scramble whenever one surfaces. And every auction brings headlines, because the numbers keep climbing higher and higher. Some believe the next sale could break every record for a modern penny. Imagine 1 cent selling for more than $1 million. But here's what makes this story so powerful. This isn't buried treasure. This isn't locked away in museums. This is a coin that could be sitting in your house right now, in your couch cushions. In that jar of change you've been ignoring for years, one man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Another family's forgotten penny funded their retirement. And still, thousands of people pass over these coins every single day, never realizing what they just spent. So how do you know if you've got it? Look closely at every 1989 penny you find. Focus on the space just beneath the year. If there's no mint mark, no tiny D or P, you could be holding one of the rarest modern cents ever struck. But be careful. Fakes exist. Scratches and damage can erase mint marks, and many hopeful collectors have mistaken ordinary pennies for fortune. The real ones are sharp, clean, unmistakably blank. Collectors were shocked when this coin first surfaced. Dealers are still rushing to get their hands on it. And experts say more are out there, hiding in plain sight. The next time you scoop up change from the counter, the next time you empty your pockets at night. Remember this. A simple penny almost spent like nothing could instead change your life forever. And this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million.
It was 1995. Lincoln cents were pouring out of the U.S. Mint by the billions. Common, forgettable, destined for piggy banks and vending machines. But within that sea of copper, a few coins carried a secret, a silent mistake that would later shake the coin-collecting world. At first, nobody noticed. These pennies looked normal. The date read 1995. Lincoln's profile was sharp, and the reverse carried the familiar Lincoln memorial. Pocket change as usual, until one collector spotted something that didn't belong, or more precisely, something that was missing. No mint mark. No small D for Denver. No S for San Francisco. Just a blank space where a symbol should have been. And that small omission would transform this ordinary coin into one of the most electrifying rarities of modern numismatics. Collectors were stunned. How could a coin slip out without its mint mark? Experts debated, rumors spread, and soon the chase began. People across the country started rifling through their change jars, desperate to find one of these elusive 1995 no-mint pennies. In 2007, whispers began about a specimen crossing the auction block, pristine, untouched, blazing with mint luster. As the bids climbed higher, the crowd could feel history being written in real time. 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, until finally, the gavel fell at a figure no one could have imagined. Over $1.6 million for a single penny. And yet, the real mystery remains. How many more are out there? Are they already in private collections, locked away forever? Or could one be hiding in your drawer, waiting for the right set of eyes to discover it? The key is the missing mint mark. Every 1995 Lincoln cent should carry a mint mark beneath the date, a small D for Denver, an S for San Francisco proof, or a P for Philadelphia on some special issues. But the rarest of them all shows nothing, just the date. That absence is the treasure signal. Collectors warn, though, not every faint or worn mint mark means you've struck gold. Dirt, scratches, and years of circulation can erase tiny letters. But the true no-mint penny is different. Under magnification, You'll see a clean, untouched field where no mark was ever struck. That's the telltale sign. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin, offering staggering sums for even lightly circulated examples. And uncirculated specimens? They're the crown jewels, the coins that rewrite history and redefine what a penny can be worth. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million.
It's called the 1988 Rit D. Mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin so rare, so bizarre, and so shrouded in mystery that even lifelong collectors never believed it existed. The story begins in 1988 at the Denver Mint. Millions of ordinary pennies poured out that year, indistinguishable, forgotten, spent, and tossed into coffee cans. But buried among them, a handful carried something no one expected, a mint mark mistake so tiny, you'd almost miss it with the naked eye. On the front of the coin, just below Lincoln's shoulder, the familiar D mint mark was struck. But experts noticed something disturbing. The letters seemed warped, misaligned, and under high magnification. Some swear they can make out ghost-like impressions resembling the word writ. That strange marking, whether born of a damaged die, a mint engraver's experiment, or a freak accident in the striking process, transformed an ordinary 1-cent coin into one of the most coveted mysteries in modern U.S. coinage. At first, no one believed it. A penny with phantom letters hidden in its mint mark? Surely it was a hoax. But then, a single specimen surfaced in the hands of a Midwestern collector who had kept it in a shoebox for years. When it hit the auction block, seasoned dealers gasped. The hammer fell at nearly $1.9 million. Other collectors began tearing through their change jars, their childhood collections, their dusty boxes of wheat cents and memorial cents. Everyone wanted to find another. Dealers were rushing to authenticate every suspicious 1988 penny that crossed their counters. The frenzy was real. Why? Because this wasn't just about money. It was about discovery. About the dream that a forgotten coin, a penny worth 1 cent, could suddenly become a life-changing miracle. But here's the twist. Most 1988 Denver pennies look normal, and even some that appear strange turn out to be machine doubling, damage, or just poor strikes. The true Rit D variety reveals itself only under close inspection. Look at the mint mark under magnification. If you see sharp, raised impressions that seem to form ghost letters, not scratches or dents, you may have struck gold. And remember, condition is everything. Collectors were shocked when the finest known example appeared in nearly uncirculated condition, driving its price into the stratosphere. The difference between a worn coin worth a few $100s and a pristine example worth over $1 million comes down to how carefully it was preserved. Imagine the thrill. You dump out your old coin jar, you slide 1 penny under the glass, and there it is. The faint, eerie letters around the Denver D. A sign that you're holding one of the rarest, most valuable pennies ever discovered. And here's the most important part. Don't assume you'll never find it. History proves otherwise. Every legendary coin was once just loose change in someone's pocket. Every treasure was once overlooked, ignored, even nearly thrown away. So check your 1988 pennies. Look closely at every Denver mint mark. Don't be fooled by scratches or dirt. What you're hunting for is that unmistakable, ghost-like, writ impression, the error that shouldn't exist, but does, because somewhere out there, another one is waiting to be discovered. Maybe in a dealer's junk box. Maybe in your grandmother's coin jar. Maybe in your very own pocket change. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. And here's the shocking part. Most people who hold this coin have absolutely no idea. They spend it like loose change, sliding it across a counter for coffee, dropping it into a parking meter, never realizing they just gave away a life-changing fortune. But why? What makes this ordinary Lincoln penny suddenly worth more than a mansion? To understand, we have to step back to the late 1980s, a time when the U.S. Mint was racing against deadlines, machines breaking down, dies wearing out, and one mysterious error that slipped through the cracks. This wasn't just any penny. The 1987 Denver strike carried a hidden flaw, a minting mistake that was so subtle most eyes passed right over it. Collectors call it the Writ anomaly, letters etched into Lincoln's memorial on the reverse side that never should have been there. Some say it looks like graffiti. Others believe it's a phantom engraving caused by die damage. But whatever it is, it's not supposed to exist. and that tiny mistake transformed pocket change into a millionaire's dream. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One man in Colorado pulled the coin from a handful of change, thinking nothing of it. He tossed it on his dresser for months. Then, while flipping through a coin magazine, he spotted an article, Rare 1987 D Lincoln Error Discovered. He froze it. He picked up his penny, held it to the light, and there it was, the faint, ghost-like letters, almost invisible unless you knew where to look. Dealers were shocked when the coin hit the market. It first, whispers spread. This has to be a fake. But multiple experts authenticated it, and when the gavel fell at auction, the room gasped that a single cent had just sold for nearly $2 million. And here's the secret most collectors don't know. Not all 1987 D pennies have this anomaly. In fact, only a handful are believed to exist. Some estimates suggest fewer than 20 examples have ever surfaced. That scarcity is why prices skyrocket every time one reappears. But the story doesn't end there. For every verified example, there are dozens of near misses, coins that look promising but fail under closer inspection. That's why collectors are rushing to check their jars, their drawers, their piggy banks. Because the difference between a common penny and $1 million treasure comes down to a tiny, nearly invisible detail. What exactly do you need to look for? First, check the date. It must read 1987 with the Denver D mint mark just below the year. Then flip it over. Look closely at the Lincoln Memorial dot on the lower right side. In the shadowed steps, some coins reveal faint raised letters that appear to spell writ. They're not engraved by hand. They're the result of a die clash error, a bizarre accident where metal struck in just the wrong way left ghost impressions. Most people miss it. They see scratches, they see dirt, they dismiss it. But for the trained eye, that strange lettering means the difference between 1 cent and $1.8 million. Collectors who find even a worn example have seen dealers offer staggering sums. Even pennies in rough shape have crossed 6 figures, and the finest known pieces, the ones with crisp lettering, uncirculated luster, are the coins that make headlines and spark bidding wars. Imagine it for a moment that you're digging through an old coffee can of coins. Dusty pennies spill across the table, and then you notice something odd, something barely visible. You lean closer, your heart pounding, and you realize you're holding one of the rarest modern errors in American history. That's the thrill coin hunters live for. But here's the warning. Many 1987 D pennies will fool you. Scratches, stains, and damage can mimic the writ anomaly. That's why authentication matters. Only a trusted grading service can confirm the real thing. And only then can the value soar from pocket change to $1 million miracle. Every collector dreams of the big find. Some spend decades chasing it. Others stumble upon it by pure chance. But the fact remains, these coins are still out there, lurking in change, hiding in collections, waiting to be uncovered by someone who knows exactly what to look for. Tonight, when you empty your pockets, take a closer look. Check every penny. Check every detail. Because the next person to spot that mysterious writ on a 1987 D mint Lincoln cent could be holding the key to $1 million. And this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now. And it's worth over $1 million. Imagine this. You're digging through loose change, tossing pennies aside like they're worthless. And then, there it is. A 2018 Lincoln penny with a hidden flaw that almost no one catches. Dealers call it a ghost coin, a 1 in a billion error. Collectors call it the miracle of modern minting. And one man's discovery of this penny stunned the coin world. Because in 2019, at a small auction no one thought would make headlines, this coin surfaced. A bidder raised his hand casually. Then another, and another. What started as a whisper turned into a bidding war. When the hammer finally fell, that single cent, worth less than a gumball, had just sold for a fortune. Nearly $2 million. But why? Why would anyone pay such staggering money for something we've all held 1,000 times? The answer lies in one of the rarest mistakes in U.S. mint history. In 2018, at the Denver facility, a series of experimental dies were prepared for production. Most were destroyed. But somehow, impossibly, a handful of them struck circulation coins before being caught. And one of those coins, the writ error penny, slipped past inspectors at first glance. It looks like any other Lincoln cent copper-plated zinc. The familiar profile of Lincoln, the bold lettering, "In God We Trust." But look closer. The mint mark tells the story. A tiny D, struck with a misaligned pressure that left part of the word writ faintly embedded into the die itself. It shouldn't exist. It defies the mint's quality controls. Yet it's there, a shadow, a secret signature, only visible under the right light. Collectors who first saw it couldn't believe their eyes. It had to be fake, one dealer said. But when grading experts examined it, their verdict sent shockwaves across the community. Authentic. Genuine. A U.S. Mint blunder preserved in copper for eternity. And this is where the story takes a wild turn. Because once word spread, treasure hunters began scouring their change. Pawn shops saw floods of customers dumping jars of pennies on their counters. Families sat at kitchen tables, searching coin rolls late into the night. Everyone was chasing the dream of turning a single cent into a million-dollar miracle. But here's the twist. Most people overlooked the key detail. They searched for doubled letters. They hunted for missing dates. But they missed the real giveaway. That faint writ die impression around the mint mark. So small, so fragile, it's invisible to the untrained eye. That's why so few have ever surfaced. One collector from Ohio said he almost spent it at a gas station. Another nearly threw it into a charity jar. Both later learned the truth, and both walked away with life-changing money. But the coin that sold for $1.9 million remains the holy grail. Dealers whisper about it. Collectors obsess over it. And every time one appears, the frenzy begins all over again. But what makes this even more unbelievable is that thousands of people might already have this coin without knowing it. Think about that. A fortune sitting in a jar by the fridge. $1 million in the pocket of your old winter coat. Waiting. Silent. Hidden in plain sight. Oh, how do you know if you've got the real thing? Start with the date, 2018. Next, the mint mark. Look for the D. And then, the most important detail of all, examine it under magnification. Search for the ghostly trace of the word writ etched faintly into the surface near the mint mark. If you see it, you're holding lightning in your hand. But be warned, fakes are everywhere. Smooth counterfeits, altered coins, cheap knockoffs. The genuine article carries a certain shimmer, a strike pressure only the mint's machines could produce. That's why professional grading is essential. Dealers are begging for new finds. Collectors are waiting with open checkbooks. And the few lucky enough to discover one of these pennies have seen their lives change overnight. From forgotten pocket change to million-dollar paydays. All because they spotted what others missed at the next time you brush past a penny, stop. Look. Examine every detail. Because this exact coin, the 2018 Writ D Mint Mark Lincoln penny, could be sitting in your drawer right now. And if it is, you're not holding just a cent, you're holding over $1 million. Picture this. Pocket change, jingling in someone's jeans. A penny nobody noticed. Worn edges, dull copper glow, nothing special at first glance. And yet, hidden inside that ordinary coin was a secret that would shake the coin world to its core. It wasn't discovered in a glass case. It wasn't tucked away in some banker's vault. No, it slipped into circulation, hiding in plain sight. Collectors call it the 2020 Writ D Mint Lincoln penny. And for good reason. The engraving, a bizarre lettering mishap, looks like writ instead of the intended word. A microscopic error most people would miss. But for those who saw it, everything changed. One man in Colorado found it in his spare change after buying a coffee. At first, he thought it was just another shiny 2020 penny. But something about the letters caught his eye. He looked closer. His hands began to shake. Could it really be? Within weeks, that very coin would stun the auction world. Because when it crossed the auction block, bids didn't start at $10. Or even $10,000. The frenzy was instant. Dealers were on the phones. Collectors were glued to their screens. And by the time the hammer fell, that single penny had soared toward $1.5 million. But here's where the story gets even stranger. Experts began asking, how many of these escaped the mint? Was it 1? Was it 10? Or could there still be more, rattling around inside jars of change across America? That uncertainty is what drives collectors wild. Imagine the feeling, digging through a roll of pennies, sighing at the usual copper and zinc, when suddenly you notice it, the writ error. Your heart pounds. You know what it could mean. That's the kind of life-changing moment coin collectors live for. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. After that first sale, whispers of other discoveries began to surface. A collector in Texas claimed he'd found one in a parking lot. Another story told of a teenager who spotted one in a handful of coins from a vending machine. Each new rumor sent shockwaves through online forums. And each rumor pushed the dream further. Could lightning strike twice? Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin. Private sales are whispered about behind closed doors. And still, the hunt goes on. Every coin jar, every roll, every dusty drawer in America suddenly feels like a treasure chest. Because the truth is, nobody knows how many are out there. Now here's what makes this coin so extraordinary. On the reverse, everything looks normal. The Lincoln Memorial, sharp, clean lines, all exactly as it should be. But the obverse, that's where the mistake lives. The date, 2020. The mint mark, a proud D for Denver. And then, that tiny, haunting slip in the inscription. A distorted, almost ghostly writ. It's a flaw that turned copper and zinc into pure gold for collectors. But this tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. At a quick glance, it just looks like wear. Like a smudge. Only when you hold it to the light, let your eyes lock onto those letters, do you see the truth. That truth can mean the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth more than your house. Collectors were shocked not only by the price, but by the symbolism. A coin meant for everyday commerce, carrying groceries or bus fare, suddenly became a financial legend. And it reminds us of something powerful. History can hide in plain sight. The extraordinary lives inside the ordinary. So here's what you need to know. If you're searching, focus on 2020 pennies with a Denver D mint mark. Look carefully at the lettering near "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." The rare writ error appears when the letters are malformed, resembling writ instead of the proper text. Don't confuse normal wear for the mistake. Under magnification, the error is sharp, deliberate, unmistakable. Check your pocket change. Check the jars in your kitchen. Check that old roll of pennies you've been ignoring. Because the next discovery could be yours. And when it happens, your life could change in a single heartbeat. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. He couldn't believe that something so small, so ordinary, could hold the power to change his life forever. It began like any other day. A handful of change, jingling in a pocket. But inside that pocket was a coin unlike any other. A 2017 Lincoln cent with a mysterious writ D, mint marked. At first glance, it looked like just another penny. Copper-plated zinc, bearing Lincoln's solemn profile, just as we've seen a billion times before. But hidden within its details was an error so unusual, so unprecedented, that even seasoned collectors gasped when they saw it. Why? Because this mint mark, an odd, misplaced stamping never meant to exist, transformed a common penny into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. The Denver Mint never released a coin with this marking. It wasn't supposed to leave the press. Yet somehow, a few escaped. Word spread fast. A collector stumbled across the first 2017 writ D penny in his pocket change. He thought it was nothing, at first, until he looked closer under magnification. The letters writ clung awkwardly to the D mint mark, etched like a secret signature. Dealers rushed to confirm it. And when the hammer finally dropped at auction, the bidding war was unlike anything seen in years. From a starting price of a few $100s, it surged past 10,000. Then 50. Then 6 figures. Gasps echoed through the room. And by the time the gavel fell, this single penny had sold for over $1 million. Collectors were stunned. How could something so ordinary, so overlooked, be worth more than a mansion? The answer was simple: rarity. The writ D penny wasn't just an error. It was a ghost, a phantom of the minting process that wasn't supposed to exist. This coin is still out there. Not one, not two, but a small handful of them were accidentally released into circulation. That means right now, as you hear this, one could be hiding in your change jar, your wallet, or even that dusty coffee can in the garage. But let's take a closer look, because this is where collectors either strike gold or walk away with just another penny. The 2017 writ D cent has 3 telltale signs. First, the writ lettering faintly fused into the D mint mark, almost like a shadow carved into the metal. Second, slight doubling along Lincoln's profile, most visible on the nose and chin. And third, the sharp luster of a coin that escaped the mint by mistake, often preserved in surprisingly high condition. But here's the warning. Thousands of fakes have popped up since the discovery. Clever counterfeits, altered mint marks, coins rubbed and re-engraved to fool collectors. Dealers have been burned. Buyers have been tricked, which is why authentication is everything. Without expert grading, a so-called treasure could just be a clever fake. Still, imagine the possibility. You reach into your pocket, pull out a penny, and realize it's the one coin that could rewrite your future. That tiny copper disc, smaller than a quarter, lighter than a nickel, suddenly worth more than $1 million. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, look closer. When you sort through your change jar, don't rush, because somewhere out there, another writ-D penny is waiting. And the truth is simple. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. It's small, copper-plated, ordinary to the untrained eye. Yet one tiny detail on a 2017 Lincoln penny has turned ordinary pocket change into a ticket worth over $1 million. In 2017, the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia quietly began adding a new mint mark, a small, subtle P. For the first time in over 2 centuries, pennies struck in Philadelphia would bear a mark of origin. To celebrate the Mint's 225th anniversary, officials authorized this one-year-only change. It was meant to be a commemorative gesture, a footnote in history, something collectors might smile at. Collectors began to notice strange anomalies, odd strikes, doubled features, faint lettering that shouldn't have existed. A handful of these 2017 pennies with the P mark carried mysterious flaws that transformed them into once-in-a-lifetime rarities. And when the first of these error coins hit the auction block, the hammer price sent shockwaves through the entire hobby. One of these small copper coins sold for hundreds of thousands. Another, under the right bidding war, rocketed to a price tag of nearly $1.7 million. Yes, a simple penny, the kind you might find in your change at the grocery store, had become a life-changing fortune. Many people had these coins in their hands. They jingled in pockets, got tossed in tip jars, slid into vending machines. Some were spent without a second thought. And every single day, more of them vanish into circulation, possibly never to be recovered. Collectors were stunned. Dealers were rushing across the country, offering cash on the spot just for a chance to inspect someone's 2017 penny. Coin forums lit up with breathless posts. I think I found one. Could this be it? Please help me. Is mine the $1 million version? Imagine standing in a crowded auction room, heart pounding as the numbers climb. 10,000, 50,000, 100,000. The air thick with tension, the auctioneer's voice cracking with disbelief. And then, the final gavel slams down. A single Lincoln penny, sold for more than most houses. This is the detail that changes everything, and it's so easy to miss. On certain 2017 pennies, minting errors occurred. Some showed dramatic die clashes, where parts of the design appeared doubled or ghost-like. Others displayed rare off-center strikes or missing elements in Lincoln's profile. And a select few, the rarest of the rare, carried flaws so unique that experts believe only a handful exist. But here's the catch. Not every 2017 penny is valuable. In fact, millions of them are just ordinary cents. The key lies in the details. You must look closely at the coin. Hold it under light. Check for doubling in the date, strange marks near the "In God We Trust" lettering, or ghost-like impressions across Lincoln's face. And never ignore an off-center strike, no matter how small. Those can be worth thousands on their own. One man discovered his error coin while sifting through a roll of pennies he bought at the bank for just 50 cents. Another stumbled across one in the change from a morning coffee. Ordinary moments that turned into extraordinary windfalls. Imagine reaching into your pocket tonight, pulling out a handful of coins, and spotting that tiny P beneath the date. Imagine realizing the lines don't look quite right, that the details shimmer strangely under the light. Imagine the rush of knowing this ordinary cent could be worth more than $1 million. Here's how you'll know if you've struck gold. Look for a 2017 Lincoln penny with the P mint mark, the only year in history Philadelphia pennies ever carried it. Examine every detail, the numbers and the date, the lettering across the top, Lincoln's profile, the edges of the coin. If you see doubling, missing features, or unusual misalignments, you may be holding one of the rarest modern coins ever minted. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Back in 2015, the US Mint produced billions of pennies. To most people, every single one looked the same. But buried in that mountain of ordinary change, something went wrong. A mistake so rare, so unexpected, that only a handful of coins ever carried it. A penny struck without a mint mark, a tiny detail almost invisible to the untrained eye, but one that transforms this coin into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery worth over $1 million. Collectors were shocked. Dealers couldn't believe it. How could a modern penny, barely a decade old, rival the price of legendary coins from centuries past? And yet, it happened. One of these mysterious no-mint mark pennies surfaced in the most unlikely place, an everyday coin roll. The man who found it thought nothing of it at first, just another penny. But when he brought it to a local shop, jaws dropped. Experts confirmed it. This wasn't just pocket change. This was a hidden treasure. At auction, the bidding war erupted. Phones rang off the hook. Hands shot up faster than the auctioneer could call them. Within minutes, the price skyrocketed. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, until finally, silence fell as the hammer dropped. That little penny had just sold for over $1.6 million. But here's the detail most people miss: the mint mark. Almost every penny struck in Denver has a tiny D under the date. Pennies from Philadelphia usually carry no mint mark, but by 2015, that was no longer supposed to happen. Every penny was meant to show its birthplace. Yet somehow, through a twist of fate and human error, a few slipped out with nothing at all. Blank. Naked. A ghost of a mint mark that never was. Collectors raced to get their hands on it. Stories spread like wildfire. Ordinary Americans searched through jars, drawers, glove compartments, hunting for the telltale sign of a missing mint mark. And with every rumor, every sighting, the legend of this coin grew stronger. But here's the part that should make your heart stop. This coin doesn't look special. It's not shiny. It's not heavy. It doesn't stand out at first glance, which means you could easily toss it aside, spend it at the gas station, or let it slip through your fingers forever without ever knowing you just lost a fortune. And yet, the story doesn't end there. Some experts believe more of these pennies are still out there, hiding, waiting, sitting quietly in coffee cans, in sock drawers, in the bottom of purses. Every day they go unnoticed. Every day they change hands like ordinary cents, until someone finally looks close enough and realizes what they've been holding all along. But this is where it gets even more mysterious. Not all 2015 pennies without a mint mark are valuable. Most are worth only face value. What makes the million-dollar version so extraordinary is the unmistakable combination of condition, strike, and provenance. It must be flawless, a coin untouched by time, as if frozen the moment it left the press. That's why experts stress caution. Countless people have mistaken ordinary pennies for the legendary one. Dealers warn against getting swept up by rumors. If you think you've found one, it must be professionally graded and authenticated before it can claim its rightful place in history. So how do you identify this coin? Start with the date, 2015. Then, check beneath the year. Do you see a mint mark, a tiny D for Denver, or a P for Philadelphia? If you see nothing at all, no letter, no mark, then your heart should start racing. That's when you know you may be holding something extraordinary. But remember, only a handful of these are genuine million-dollar rarities. The rest are ordinary. The key is flawless condition, authentication, and expert verification. Think about it. Every time you handle a penny, you could be touching a hidden fortune. Every time you dig through change, you might be staring at your ticket to $1 million. And the only thing standing between you and that miracle is whether you take the time to look. Because the truth is chilling. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. In 2014, the US Mint quietly released billions of ordinary Lincoln pennies into circulation. But hidden among them was one mistake so rare, so unbelievable, that it slipped past inspectors and into the hands of everyday Americans. Collectors would later whisper about it as the no-mint mark phantom penny. A coin so deceptively ordinary, so easy to miss, that most people spend it without a second thought. But here's the twist. This small copper-plated coin has sold for life-changing money. One example surfaced at auction and stunned the room. hammering for nearly $1.5 million. A single cent multiplied into a fortune. In 2014, most Lincoln pennies were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. Philadelphia coins should bear a tiny P mint mark. Denver coins carry a D. San Francisco proofs shimmer with an S. But a freak error caused a small batch to leave the mint without their mint marks entirely. No P, no D, no S, just a blank space. As if the coin were hiding its true identity. At first, no one noticed. The pennies looked identical to the billions of others jingling in pockets and rolling through vending machines. But then, a sharp-eyed collector spotted the anomaly. His pulse raced. He knew he was holding something extraordinary. What happened next stunned the entire coin world. Dealers scrambled. Phone lines lit up. Auction houses fought for the chance to sell one of these errors. And when the first coin hit the block, the bidding war was fierce. Collectors who had studied coins their entire lives shook their heads in disbelief as the price climbed higher and higher and higher. The final gavel, over $1 million. But why would a missing mint mark drive collectors into such a frenzy? Because minting errors are the holy grail of coin collecting. They represent a moment when perfection slipped, when history glitched. And in the world of coins, rarity is everything. This 2014 no-mint mark Lincoln penny wasn't just a mistake. It was a miracle of scarcity, and the emotional pull is irresistible. Imagine the thought that a penny you found in a cup holder, a change jar, or between the couch cushions could unlock freedom, dreams, and a story you'd tell for the rest of your life. But here's the real kicker. Most people still don't know these pennies exist. They keep circulating, hiding in plain sight, mistaken for worthless pocket change. And yet, one man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle. Now, pay close attention, because this is the part that could change your life. Here's how to identify the 2014 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. First, look at the date. It must say 2014. Next, check just below the date for the mint mark. On a normal coin, you'll see a small letter, usually a D for Denver, or no mint mark at all if it came from Philadelphia. But here's the difference. The valuable variety shows a distinct absence, a smoothness where the mark should be, almost like it was never intended to be there at all. Collectors warn about common mistakes. A worn-down coin isn't the same. If the mint mark was rubbed off or damaged, it's worthless. Only the coins struck without a mint mark from the very beginning are the true treasures. That's what separates a penny worth 1 cent from a penny worth over $1 million. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million.